Hello everyone, my name is Alian Lightwala, and today I am again with another live interview with another special guest. Her name is Salam. So in this interview, we will know about him and his work. So hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you, Alian?
I am also fine. First of all, I want to very thankful to you for giving me your precious time.
You are more than welcome. Anytime. If it's about students and for students, anytime I'm ready.
Thank you so much. So, before moving on a question, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. So, hey everyone. I hope all of you are in a good health and having fun. So, my name is Salam and I'm from Jordan, the Middle East. I'm 24 years old. I'm a mechanical engineer as well as a spacesuit designer, but I'm a graduate mechanical engineer. So I started working with the spacesuits like 2 years ago, and it has become my passion. And I just want to develop more skills into this field. I am also a science communicator as well as 3D designer. I design machines and I design other things than spacesuits. It's not all about the space industry. I design a lot of other stuff. Yeah. As well, I am graduate for IIAS, which is the International Institute for Astronautics Science student. So I was trained as an astronaut in bioastronautics. I'm a graduate from there, and yes, that's me. Simple me.
Wow, that's great, awesome. So, my first question is in your screen. Can you share your journey of becoming a mechanical engineer and how you find your passion for space suit design?
So I became a mechanical engineer because I've always wanted to be an astronaut since I was a little girl, like even younger than you. I always said that, the usual question of students, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was always to become an astronaut, someone in space. So I grew up, and when I had to decide which specialization should I go for college, I choose to go as a mechanical engineer because most of the astronauts they usually choose mechanical engineering. That's how I become a mechanical engineer. I loved it. I enjoyed every single moment in engineering in general. And if I had the choice again, I will again choose mechanical engineering. And then at my senior year, when I had to design my or to create my graduation project, I was already enrolled in a competition, and then I won that competition to design the first spacesuit for Jordan. And then I turned out that the spacesuit design it's like an application for mechanical engineering in material science and this stuff. So I choose this project as my graduation project, and in that way I became a spacesuit designer by designing more than one suit later on.
Okay, that's great. So, my next question is in your screen. What inspired you to pursue a career in the field of space exploration and astronaut equipment?
What inspires me the most because I love the sky. I love the sky. And I love being up there. So, what is the closest thing to this? It's the space industry. And of course, because since I was a little girl, I've always felt like that I am attached to stars and I love the moon. I love looking to it. And all these kids' dreams, of becoming an astronaut, I had them when I was a little girl. So that inspires me a lot. And because I grew up and I started reading more about the space industry and I know how it benefit the human race, even on Earth, and how much application it has. So I had this more passion about becoming in this industry.
Okay, great. Could you describe the primary responsibilities and challenges you face as spacesuit designer?
Well, as a spacesuit designer, you need to know a lot about spacesuits. You need to do a lot of research. So the main challenges is we need to design something that is safe for astronauts, because what we care about is to keep them alive. That's the main purpose of spacesuits. So in general, the challenges were to understand how it works. Because I do have the background in engineering and in mechanical engineering, material science, composite material, and a lot of other things, I felt like I need to study even more. Even I do have the background, but I need to do my own research. So it wasn't easy. You need to do a lot of research, and you need to try more than one design. There is not only one suit out there, there's more than one different suit. You have an EVA, IVA, and a lot of other different types of suits. And maybe later on, I will tell you exactly what is the meaning of EVA and IVA. But for now, I can tell you that designing a spacesuit has a lot of challenges, pressure wise, other stuff, technical wise. Uh, but it's kind of fun designing a spacesuit.
Great. So my next question in your screen, how do you balance the technical aspect of mechanical engineering with the unique demands of designing equipment for use in space?
So, as a mechanical engineer, we learn about a lot of things. Not everything in mechanical engineering is related to spacesuit design, but you can say most of the stuff that we've learned in engineering will eventually lead you to the design of spacesuit. And if you want to design a spacesuit, you will always find another field that you know nothing about that you need to study more. So, technically, regarding mechanical engineering, you need to know a lot of stuff about material science, and you need to know how you're gonna test them, how you're gonna choose them. So the education that I had in mechanical engineering, actually it prepared me to be able to design a spacesuit. So it's not easy for anyone to design a spacesuit. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's not. With education everything is applicable, but of course you need to have like a good background technically. I could say that I merged that by being a mechanical designer. That helped me a lot visualizing the spacesuit and knowing the internal parts of the spacesuit, how it's going to be. So it is kind of a connected aspect. I'm telling you, being a mechanical engineering is not the only thing that you need as a spacesuit designer. You need a lot of other skills and a lot of other things to know. So it's kind of part of mechanical engineering. You can find electrical engineering, material science, industrial engineering, a lot of other engineering aspects involved. But in general, mechanical engineering was fine to prepare me.
Okay, that's great. So my next question in your screen, what key factors and consideration do you take into account when designing spacesuit to ensure astronaut safety and functional?
Okay, so considering the design of the spacesuits, there's a lot of layers that you have to include in the spacesuits, because each layer will keep you safe from one factor. Let's say, so you need to provide a cooling system. Why? Because you are providing an isolation system, or like an isolation layer. Let's say once you are isolated, then you will start to heat up no matter what is the outside environment temperature. But you need to heat, the temperature of the body will heat up, so you need a cooling system. So that's kind of safety that you have to include. Another thing that you have to include, it's like bulletproof. The debris in space and these kind of objects that are in the speed of a bullet. So you need to consider Kevlar as a, let's say, type of composite materials called Kevlar. You need to include it in the suit to prevent any scratch from any debris. So these kind of things that you take into consideration for safety. And if I want to go through all the layers, you have 14 layers that you have to consider. So each of them will protect the astronaut from something. For example, radiation. For example, you need also to have it waterproof, because you need to pressurize it. Pressure is a very, very, very important thing that you need to consider when you go to space. So there's a lot of factors you need to consider in order to prevent any danger coming into the astronaut.
Okay, that's great. So, in what ways do you collaborate with astronauts, scientists, and other professionals to develop spacesuit design that meet their needs?
Okay, so we collaborate with a lot of people. Astronauts, one of them, scientists and engineers, and a lot of people. Let's start with astronauts. You need to know exactly how they feel inside the spacesuit. Is it smooth enough? What about the mobility? What about how they breathe? Is there anything bad with the design? Do you think like they need to tell us exactly how they feel inside the suit? So you need to also include their sizes. So for example, if the suit is too small, he or she cannot perform. But we're doing our best to communicate with the astronaut to know how to develop our suits. Regarding scientists, as I mentioned before, not only a mechanical engineer is the one who's involved in designing spacesuits. There are other people that must be involved, and you need to consider factors, a factor of safety. You need to consider, some sort of sensors, and you need to ensure there is a healthy environment inside the suit. So, for example, you don't want the oxygen to get low percentage of oxygen or high percentage of CO2 or high humidity. So you need to control all of this and to keep in touch with the doctors as well to make sure that this environment is healthy for astronauts to perform because most of the suits you spend there for more than 8 hours each time. So it's not easy. So in general, you need to ask a lot of people to make sure that your suits are safe and ready to launch.
Okay, that's great. So, my next question in your screen: what technological innovation or advancement have had the most significant impact on the evolution of spacesuit design during your career?
So to clarify something, I haven't designed any real spacesuits where it's ready to launch to space. So what I've been doing, I was producing or like inventing prototypes or kind of initial prototypes for analog spacesuits in order to test our suits. So I'm not ready yet to design an entire spacesuit to go to space. So I'm still in my early stages. But down the road, like the last 2 years, there's a lot of you know key key things that I was really advancing, like the cooling system. I was really working on innovating a new cooling system rather than the traditional one that NASA and other companies are using, or let's say ILC Dover or Final Frontier, whatever company that designs the suit, let's say. It's a different technology that I am trying to develop. And I think later on I'll be also taking care of the mobility of the suit. So for now, I think cooling system and mobility and being a pressurized suit is my key technologies that I want to work on, and also adding more life support systems into the suit to make it even more advanced.
Okay, so my next question in your screen: how do you address the challenges of ensuring mobility, comfort, and life support in the confined and challenging environment of space?
So there's a lot of challenges. You need to test, you need to try, you need to make more prototypes. That's the only way it goes. So if you want to rely on one design and launch it to space, you don't expect to be a success, right? You don't expect it to work the way you want. You need to test it. So the challenges that I'm facing is um, iteration of spacesuits. We need to make more than one iteration to reach the final one. And I think getting involved more with designing more spacesuits, more prototype is one way. Another way is you don't have to design the whole suit in order to test it. You might be able to design part of it, and you can develop this part. So it depends on how you deal with it. But I'm telling you, it's not easy to design a spacesuit, and you need to consider a lot of other factors.
Okay, so my next question: could you share any anecdotes or experience that highlight the importance of a well-designed spacesuit in a space mission?
So for me, spacesuits, it's even more important than rockets because the spacesuit is the closest, space vehicle, or like it is a spaceship that surrounds the human. So for me, you need to pay attention for it very, very much. And I think, as I told you, I am still in the early stages of my career. I might not be able to answer this question fully, but I can tell you that you need to try more. You need to get involved more with that, and yeah, spacesuits is not easy. Designing a spacesuit is not easy.
Okay, so my next question, how has your work contributed to improving the efficiency and safety of space exploration mission?
So safety is something that you have to consider all the time. In order to design anything in this world, if it is attached to the human life, because once it's not easy. You're not on Earth. If something went wrong, you just take it off and walk. No, there's no way. This system must be perfect. It must be tested hundreds of times to ensure that the safety is at high level as you can, because there's no way back. It is one way. So safety is something that I highlight a lot, and it has to be considered in each part and in each cell of the suit. So it's not only on the chest or on the head, or it has to be everywhere, even on the gloves and boots. Even how complicated the shape it is, but you have to consider safety everywhere. That's how I see safety for spacesuits. You need to make sure that each layer is performing at the best level as it should be.
Okay, so my next question in your screen, what role do material science and advanced textiles play in the development of modern spacesuits?
It plays a very significant role. So, being a mechanical engineer, that means that you know a little bit about material science, but you need to make more advancement because material science is such a huge industry and such a huge R&D that you need to keep up with, especially composite materials. And there, when we go there, we need to consider a lot of factors like low weight. We don't want the suits to be very high weight or like so bulky and not comfortable and adding so much um, materials that we don't need. For example, a lot of layers. So what we are trying to do is reducing the mass of the suit to make it less heavy. And we also wanted to include materials like maybe some natural materials that can do the function that we're looking for without adding a very special material that we create. So it is a long process, but I can tell you that the material science is something essential for spacesuits, and you need just to keep up with the technology that it's there to always enhance these suits.
Okay, so my next question in your screen, how do you how do you see spacesuits design involving a space exploration to Mars?
So the future of designing spacesuits is getting bigger and bigger, because space is not anymore for only government, and a lot of private companies, they're trying to make space as tourism. So I think that not only to Mars, I think okay, eventually we want to go to Mars or to lunar, no matter where or how, uh, no matter where the spacesuits are going. But considering more spacesuits as mass production, that's how I see it. So I see the future that we need to make more reliable and safety and comfort and enhanced comfort life support system suits. We need to consider that even more as mass production, because with the Starship that SpaceX is doing, there's 100 astronauts need to go there at once. So it's not easy to do that big amount of spacesuits. So I believe that we need to consider that as a mass production, as a product that not only one or two suits, we need more.
Okay, so my next question is, can you discuss any project or collaboration that you are proud of in your role as a spacesuit designer?
Actually, of course, I am. I have been involved in many spacesuits collaboration with Jesri. It's an initiative in Jordan, as well as Blank Borderless Labs Inc. It's a company in the US, as well as Clipios. It's also a group of people and students that they are doing it in Europe and Switzerland, particularly. So I am so proud of that, and I want to be involved in even more collaborations, and I hope we can collaborate with bigger companies later on. And I am trying to open my own company to be involved in this industry even more.
Okay, what advice would you offer to aspiring engineers who are interested in working on cutting edge projects like spacesuit designs?
I want to tell them that just do whatever you love. So if you love material science, read more about it, research, because research is the key to know more about spacesuits. And once you read more, discover more, try to watch some sort of videos about spacesuits and other stuff. Try things with your hand. That would help you a lot. Expand your thoughts about spacesuits and how it's designed. You will eventually learn that spacesuits sort of like designing a spacesuit. It's a skill. Like when you start with a costume and you ended up with a pressurized spacesuit for analog suits that might be tested in Europe or in the US or in the Middle East, no matter where. But I mean, you started small with a lot of prototypes and iteration and a lot of reading and education. You would eventually reach a level you never dreamt of.
Okay, so my next question in your screen, how do you stay up to date with the latest developments in field and continue to innovate in your designs?
So in general, it's not easy to know a lot about spacesuits. Resources are very limited because not all the countries and people make spacesuits. Not all companies are engineering companies, and in some countries, it is very protected. Not everyone can tell you easily how they created their suits. Sometimes on purpose trying not to, telling you how they did their spacesuits. So what I'm telling you is you need to try. If you want to start something, you need to use what you have, what resources you have there. Just find everything there. Try to read it, understand it, and apply it into reality. And with experiment with whatever you want at the end of product. Like each product has a special specifications. If you put it into consideration, then at the end you will end up designing that specific thing. So being an engineer, it's easy to design anything in the world. You only need to tell me what's your problem and I will design a solution for you. That's how it works. So what we are doing here is like trying to solve a problem, even with the very, very little resources that we have up there.
Okay, so my last question in your screen, can you share your vision for the future of spacesuit technology and its potential impact on the future of space exploration?
Of course. So as of me, I think right now I need to develop my first analog spacesuit, because analog spacesuits will always give you, um, it will give you like the first iteration to make mistakes, right? And to learn from it. So designing my first analog spacesuit, it does not guarantee. It's like it's not a must to have mistakes, but it's not gonna be as professional as it should be because it's one iteration. So my idea is to create more than one prototype for analog suits that it could be tested in a facility where it has like long duration mission for analogs and people and astronauts can come and wear these suits, test them in the facility that I'm providing, and in that way you will ended up having a suit that it was tested and your suit You are already trained yourself on it. That's the way I see suits. And then from that on, you can develop your suits little by little to reach a level where these suits are, approved to go to space.
Okay, that would be great. I am again thankful to you for giving me your precious time. I hope everyone something learn new with you. You tell a lot of things in this short time period. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alian. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you, everyone. And yes, till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.